196 countries in the world. 25 of them are very rich, defined as having an average wealth per person of over $100,000 a year. They are. But far more countries are quite poor, and some, which we're considering here, are very, very poor. These are the 20 poorest countries in the world, where the per capita wealth is under $1,000 a year, or under $3 a day. What we want to know in this film is why some countries prosper and others stagnate, so that we can understand what rich countries are doing right and get a better grip on the challenges and hurdles facing poor countries. There are basically three factors that determine whether a country will be rich or poor. The first is institutions. Institutions are beyond important. Broadly speaking, rich countries have good institutions and poor ones have very, very bad ones. The correlation between poverty and corruption is direct. The richest countries in the world are quite simply invariably also the least corrupt ones. And the most corrupt countries are also the poorest. When countries are corrupt, they can't collect enough taxes to get the good institutions they would need to escape the poverty trap. Half of the wealth of the world's poorest 20 countries goes into offshore accounts. Lost revenues in these countries totals between $10 and $20 billion a year. Meanwhile, without an adequate tax base, poor countries can't invest in police, education, health and transport. Now, a more generous way to look at corruption is that it's really a case of clan-based thinking. Say you're hiring someone. In the rich countries, you're meant to do so simply on merit, interviewing lots of candidates, then picking the best one, irrespective of any personal connection. But in poor countries, under the sway of clan-based thinking, that approach would itself be seen as corrupt. It's your duty to disregard the so-called best candidate from an anonymous bunch in order to pick someone from your own team, your uncle, your brother, your second cousin, the guys from the same tribe. As a result, poor countries don't allow themselves access to the intelligence and talent of the whole population.
Este un fel de socialism care merge spre comunism, pe o nouă formă de comunism.
Cred că exagerez, dar în sfârșit e vorba de corectitudinea politică împinsă până la absurd.
Corectitudinea politică care a ajuns la un nivel de boală, de icter galben al Americii. Am fost chemați noi, profesorii de la școala de actorie, în care eu eram șeful școlii de actorie, și ni s-a spus că trebuie să facem o comisie în care să angajăm un profesor nou pentru că cineva se pensionase și aveam un loc liber.
Câți sunteți cu toții? Câți erați cu toții?
Eram 5-6. Și ne-a spus decăneasa școlii de artă că suntem prea mulți profesori de culoare albi, prea mulți profesori bărbați, heterosexuali și este de dorit să luăm un nou cadru didactic, de preferință o femeie de culoare, care dacă este gay e foarte bine, iar dacă este un bărbat, de preferință să fie portorican sau de culoare, sigur nu poate să fie cineva cum ești tu, Andrei, mi s-a spus, care ești un bărbat, care ai fost căsătorit, care ești heterosexual și care ai copii.
Nu e o glumă.
Nu e o glumă. Și atunci am întrebat, și dacă, să spunem, petit, ca să fie profesor, să instruiască pe acești studenți care cheltuie o groază de bani să vină să învețe, ce se întâmplă? Totuși, el este un alb care are o familie, este căsătorit și mi s-a spus, nu puteți lua pe acest
case of clan-based thinking. Say you're hiring someone. In the rich countries, you're meant to do so simply on merit, interviewing lots of candidates, then picking the best one, irrespective of any personal connection.
Ca să fie profesor, să instruiască pe acești studenți care cheltuie o groază de bani să vină să învețe, ce se întâmplă? Totuși, el este un alb care are o familie, este căsătorit și mi s-a spus, nu puteți lua pe acest.
Hello everyone, and hopefully I won't get in trouble for taking clips from those videos, but I think it's very important in order to give some context to the conversation we're about to have in this video. And you need to understand corruption actually benefits people, right? It exists because people benefit from it. The people at the top get obscenely wealthy. These nations that have people earning less than $3 a day have very, very wealthy leaders. If you look at Zimbabwe, you will see that the president's son used to have a Batmobile. I'm not talking about the Batmobile that's a toy. I'm talking a real car that is shaped to look like a Batmobile. There are some of the wealthiest people in the world while the rest of the nations are starving. And you might say, well, why don't the other people rebel? And the answer is they did, which is why the Zimbabwe ex-president lined them up against the wall and shot them, 20,000 of them. So corruption is one of the worst things that can happen to a country. I know this because it has happened to mine. It's one of the reasons we are still not economically developed. It's another reason why we lose so many of our forests every day. There's actually a Netflix video coming up where the Netflix team going into Romania to talk about the illegal deforestations by an Austrian company have been attacked. And the law isn't going to do anything. Hopefully this will cause an international scandal and bring this issue into the forefront. Now, to me, it's very concerning that this corruption is spreading into the American institutions, especially at academia, because academia is the institution which teaches people how to think. Unfortunately, it was supposed to teach people how to get a job, but it has went into more than that. And all of these people that graduate academia, they are going to become your politicians, your lawyers. They go into the entertainment industry where they spread their message to other people, trying to convince society that hiring based on merit is now racist, sexist, misogynistic. And fortunately enough, this corruption is causing these institutions to collapse. Universities around America that are pushing this ideology have to shut down dorms because they're losing money. Movies that are pushing this ideology are failing left and right. Gaming companies that are embracing this ideology are losing stocks and they have to fire people. The mainstream media that are hiring journalists with this mindset are also doing poorly. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of collateral damage until the free market just roots out these imbeciles. For example, a company which was supposed to protect Americans' information called Equifax was hacked, and millions of Americans lost their social security number, bank information, because the company, instead of choosing to hire a person qualified to do internet security, they hired a diversity hire. If I'm not mistaken, was a woman with an arts graduate degree, which actually said when she was hired, it's like, I'm not qualified to do this job. But they said, well, it's just security. You're going to learn it as you go. So there's going to be much collateral damage until the system collapses. But this is not a video about America. I just wanted to give a warning that even if you're a wealthy nation, if you keep the course, if you consume products that are woke, you are helping to, I guess, damage not only the economy, but innocent people, like in the case of Equifax. Now, the one country I want to talk about is Mexico. And I always wonder, like, why is Mexico so poor? Because compared to my country, Mexico should be light years ahead. It has a bigger population than Romania. It's neighboring the United States, so trade could definitely happen. Yet, time and time again, I see, in the news that Mexico is a really poor place. Like, whenever they deport someone to Mexico, the person is crying, and they're acting as if it's in the Judge Dredd movie, deporting them to the wasteland. And I'm trying to figure out, it's like, what? I mean, compared to Romania, it's not that different, economically. So, it would be like seeing a Romanian crying that he's being sent back to Romania. Why is it such a bad thing? And why isn't Mexico a lot wealthier? Well, apparently it's the corruption. And I don't think you can see a better example than what happened with the Chapo. So apparently the Chapo's son was arrested by the police. And I thought that this is a great thing when I saw it in the news. I thought that, okay, finally they have a president that's willing to fight against corruption, that is willing to root out the cartels, which, by the way, they do influence the economy. Like, if you want to set up a business in a place where the cartels operate, I assume you have to pay them money, right? You have to pay them a protection tax. The violence in the street, the gangbanging, they negatively impact your business. Like, who wants to go shop in a place where there is high display of violence? Who wants to give insurance to a business that is operating in such a neighborhood? And what happens when you have a business that, for example, happens to rival with one of the businesses by a cartel member? right? So no, mafia and gangs and the cartel are definitely not good for business. They keep down economic growth. So I was like, okay, well, now they're cracking on it. Well, it turns out that there was a retaliation from the cartel, which managed to overwhelm the police force and got Chapo's son back. Like, the police released Chapo's son back under threats of violence from the cartel. And I was looking at that and like, holy shit, so Mexico has lost control. No other wealthy nation, or, you know, first world nations as we call them, would allow this to happen. You wouldn't have like the mafia dictating in Germany the imminent release of prisoners. You wouldn't have that in the United States. You wouldn't have that anywhere in Europe. Right? This is something unheard of. And the United States president, after a gruesome attack by some cartel members against a U.S. family, wanted to help Mexico. And I by the way, before I go on, like, for those of you who are from Europe and you don't know what's going on in Mexico, I'm a YouTuber which has over 100,000 subscribers. Do you know what this means? That I can't sleep at night thinking that one day my channel will be banned because I'm getting more and more famous. But what it also means is that you get people that show you all sorts of videos. Right? Like, everyone knows you. Everyone contacts you and tries to send you a video or talk with you. And I talk with a lot of subscribers and people whenever I can. And I do watch the videos. Now, some videos are cat videos, other videos are interesting topics, and other people like to troll you by sending you their ball sacks. I'm looking at Count Dankula here. Why did you do that? What does it mean? Why? Like, he contacts me and shows me a hand holding his... Why? Why would I want to see his scrotum? I don't know. It was wrinkly, horrible, disgusting, right? But there's other people that show you gruesome videos. Gore videos, in order to shock, you know, like, ha ha ha, I made you watch that. And man, like, some of the most disgusting gore videos are either from the Middle East or from Mexico. And there are the gangs that rule with such levels of brutality that just by watching these videos, I would be scared to operate as a police officer in Mexico. Like, I have seen policemen being shot, and then the drug dealer, the cartel member, would videotape the shooting without covering his face, without trying to cover his voice, like really not caring about what he did, which goes to show just how ballsy these people are. And they are ballsy because they know they're above the law. And then you have this guy called Big Herc. He makes really interesting prison videos from the United States, from California. And he got this guy who served time in a Mexican prison, and the way he describes it is that the guards don't even go in the prison. The guards, what they do is they encircle the prison, they lay siege on the prison, believe it or not. There's a no man's land between the prison and the guards, and whenever someone goes in, they just take him to the prison door, and that's it. And the guy has to go find the cell. And the prisoners run the prison. Like, the cartels, they got weapons there, they got cell phones, they got hookers coming over, they got television, they got drugs, they got all of these things. And my question is like, okay, so how are you doing rehabilitation then? Like, even if you arrest some of these people and you basically put them on their little private island, they're not going to be rehabilitated when they come out. They're just going to be as bad, if not worse, right? And then there was like another guy talking about how the people that kidnapped him were cartel by night and Mexican police by day. Like, apparently there are these hot zones, if what this guy is telling, where the police and the cartel are one and the same. And it's like, wow, shit, you know? So, to me it was like, all right, now President Trump, the US president, is offering to wage war on the cartels. Now, I didn't think that he's going to move the military with the Abraham tanks and the drones and all that. No, I thought that he is going to provide, you know, special task forces like the FBI, and which America already provides, but it's now going to be in bigger numbers in order to crack down on this. Because clearly the Mexican government is either unwilling or unable to do so, right? And the journalists, the people that are, you know, with their clan-based thinking, they're like, oh my God, oh, look at the horror, the horror, how dare President Trump say this? And it's like, well, when Obama was drone striking people in Syria, they weren't saying, oh my God, oh, the horror. When Trump was saying that he wants to pull out of Syria, they were like, oh, but what about the Syrian civilians? They're getting gas. So it's not like these people are anti-violence or anything. It's not like they're a bunch of hippies. For some reason, time and time again, they side with criminals. I do not understand why they do this. And when I say they, you know, the journalists that I mean, right? From The Guardian, from all of these blue check marks on the Twitterati, the ones that are freaking out about Trump wanting to intervene in Mexico, they were the front line of defense to MS-13. Now, it seems that the Mexican president rejected this offer of help. And I'm like, holy shit, Mexico is fucked. No, seriously, like, I wouldn't want to live there. Because he here's the thing, right? He could have said, well, we don't want an actual war, but, you know, some resources from the US or some manpower or something like that would be greatly appreciated, some equipment or that. No, he didn't say that. He basically just dismissed the offer, which leads me to assume two things. Number one, the president is on the pay from the cartel. Quite possible, right? Or number two, he's scared shitless. And no wonder he's scared shitless. You know what happened to the guy that arrested the Chapo? 140 bullets were put in him. That's a message that the cartels are sending the police. And after, you know, if you're a police officer there and you see what happened with the president declining help from the US and all of that, man, I'm starting to think that in the future, the only people that are going to have the balls to be the police are going to be the cartels. It's really scary, you know, and I genuinely feel bad for the innocent Mexicans that just want to go on with their daily lives, just want to make a business, and they have to live with that shit. And I'm pretty sure it's not in every city. I'm pretty sure it's not in every area. You know, I'm pretty sure it's not everywhere, but in most places they are. What I liked about Rambo, by the way, a lot of the left, again, freaked out because in Rambo, it's a fight against the cartels, against the human traffickers. Now, I went to law school and I studied how the human traffickers operate. And I can tell you the person who made the Rambo movie actually studied the same thing I did, because the way they managed to crack those girls in order to, after kidnapping them and convincing them not only to do prostitution, but convincing them that running away is worse than death or that lifestyle is very real. Like, all the tactics that they were using there in that movie is inspired from what happens in real life. And this is what the cartels are doing. This is whenever you see a blue check mark on Twitter defending someone like MS-13 or some cartel, that's what they're for. That is literally what they're for. They're not telling you face to face that that's what they're, but that's what they are. So, you know, I gathered a lot of sympathy for Mexican people. It looks like a version of Eastern Europe on steroids. We had problems with gangs here as well. We had problems with corruption, and we still do, but it's not as bad, you know. Like, and I don't know if ever it's going to be good. Like, I generally do not see how things are going to be good. I guess, like, the only way you could look at it, it's a boiling pot. You know, like a pot just boils and boils, and the steam starts to gather, and at one point it's going to explode because people just can't take it anymore. You know, they want to have normal lives. They don't want to live under this shit. But the fact that America doesn't police its border, and it's so easy for a Mexican to go into the United States, then the people, which the middle class are the actual ones that could cause the whole thing to explode, they just go to America. So it's like having a release valve, you know, you just open the release valve and like, and the people that really can't take it anymore, instead of, you know, forming a political party or forming some sort of active resistance or anything like that, instead of doing that, they just move to America because it's the path of least resistance. And human beings like to take the path of least resistance. I'm curious if this video will get me into trouble, but this is legitimately how I think. And I'm curious what people from Mexico have to think about this, you know, like, Am I onto something? Because again, I don't live there. I can just make comparison to what I hear in the news to what is here. And, you know, given the other things I know about what makes a nation poor and what impoverishes a nation, you put them together and you kind of get to see what is going on. But anyway, right, I'm genuinely curious, especially from Mexican people. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.